guess what's back? Oh yeah. So it's the month of spooks and scares, and I wanted to get a quick video under my belt before the actual Halloween special. And yes, there is going to be another Halloween special that's bigger and better than this one, so stay tuned for that. But for now, we're going to stick with something short, something sweet, and a little bit spooky. Now you may remember that earlier in the year I reviewed a horror mod for Half-Life called Afraid of Monsters, and I ended up praising that mod for various reasons. I really do love that mod. You can check that video out here. Consequently, I thought it might be fun to get back on that train and look at something else along the same lines. The mod we're looking at today is called Cthulhu, or an unspeakable mod, which is a total conversion for the original Half-Life that replaces the weapons entirely, gives you Lovecraftian beasts and cultists to fight, as well as full voice acting and full levels to explore. The original release for this mod was 2006, but there's an updated version that was released this year. And I mean, hey, that sounds pretty cool, right? I mean, it's Half-Life with Cthulhu things in it. I mean, what could possibly go wrong there? Cthulhu begins with a bunch of cultists surrounding a star, which leads to the name of the mod and its creators being displayed on a green, slimy, warping background. In green text. Good start. After this, we get some exposition with a man explaining his horrific dreams.
Each time more vivid. More frightening.
He sees a mysterious island rising from the ocean, and on that island is a building that contains a really nasty texture glitch. I mean, come on, that's easily avoided. Just make one of the brushes bigger or smaller by a small amount. It's not difficult, guys. I mean, I can show you how to do it. There we go. No more texture glitching. It's that easy. Of course, what's actually in this building is Cthulhu, who looks, great. I mean, technically we have a gargantuan from the original Half-Life painted green with some tentacles on his face, but I can admire the creativity there. It's hard to hire elder gods these days. Don't worry, I get it. I know they're busy. They've got a full schedule. It's all fine. I understand. Now, if there's one thing I really like here, it's these driving sequences. They branch the story together with some exposition from our main character. Oh, by the way, our main character is called Ranulph Stafford, which is an unfortunate name, but I won't judge. We find out that the guy we're looking for is elsewhere at his summer house, and this starts the main chunk of the gameplay. Now, if there's one thing this mod does incredibly well, it's atmosphere. Things like these driving sequences, the lighting, the sound effects, and creepy little hints that something is off. Then there are lots of little things like rustling bushes when you walk by and unsettling paintings. The setup here is great, but the payoff, well, we'll get to that. As you enter this spooky house, you can hear some strange noises. Although if you're as accustomed to Half-Life as I am, these noises probably don't mean much other than, zombies? Alright. You then come across a sword cane to defend yourself with, which is just as well because there's a cultist here who attacks you. And I say, attacks you. The AI on these guys really isn't great, and this is obvious as you get further into the mod as well. Quite often they just stand there and take a beating or a shooting until they die. And my other favourite thing about these guys is they basically repeat the same lines over and over, and after a while, it just gets kind of funny.
Were you at last night's summoning? I made Were you at last night's summoning? I made the sacrifice myself. Were you at last night's summoning?
They're also just kind of goofy in general.
There is no one here. An unbeliever. Cthulhu, protect.
No. Of course, these aren't the only enemies you'll see, because we do have some zombies. Come on. Yep, you guys had so much content to draw from with the Lovecraftian universe, and this is what you choose. Although they do look kinda odd, like their head is too small for their body or something. Weird. Although I will give the creators one thing, the noises these guys make are pretty horrifying. Oh, and one other thing I'd like to bring up is the HUD. Now, I have no issues with the HUD itself, so this is more of a PSA, because you'll see this in place of the HUD in a lot of other Gold Source Engine games. Wanna play some opposing force? Check out this spooky loading screen, with an ugly font. You wanna play some Team Fortress Classic? Well, now you have HP Lovecraft staring up at you. forever. Anyway, you may have noticed how far my health went down in one hit there from that one zombie. Yeah, this mod is incredibly hard. As a matter of fact, it's way too hard. Health packs and ammo are incredibly sparse and enemies do way too much damage here. One of the worst offenders here happens to be on the next level, which takes place in some sort of chapel. You see, at this point you only have the sword cane and this tiny knife, but this guy has a revolver and he does not want you anywhere near him. If you manage to kill him, chances are the AI glitched out and you got lucky. But the other 9 out of 10 times, he'll just unload a barrage of bullets into your already weak and squishy body. May I remind you that melee combat in Half-Life has always left a lot to be desired. You'll often find yourself hopping in and out trying not to get hit, which doesn't always work. So you're guaranteed to be at least somewhat injured when you're fighting this loon. And it's not like getting a gun fixes these issues, because, like I said before, ammo is rare here. Once you're out, you're back to shanking a dude in his chest until his AI breaks and you find 6 more bullets to waste on bat creatures in some kind of slime cave. I'm not good with the whole aiming thing. It's not like rare health and ammo is a bad thing in horror games, it can be a mechanic that's done well, but here, it just isn't. Afraid of Monsters does all of this so much better, and it's also a free Half-Life mod made by a small number of people. In fact, the original Afraid of Monsters mod was created by a single 14-year-old kid, but in Cthulhu the amateur level and game design really shows through. Don't get me wrong, I've seen a lot worse, but there's a lot here that just doesn't work. I mean, there are doors that block your path when they really shouldn't, segments that are next to impossible at times without ammo, and the level design in general is very blocky. There are a lot of things here that just scream inexperienced mapper, which is kinda sad really. I see plenty of potential in the concept in some areas of the execution. It's like an experienced mapper collided with an amateur mapper, and it's actually a little bizarre to behold. Not to mention, there are cheap death traps in a couple of places. The gunplay is awkward with slightly broken auto-aim, the melee combat isn't fun because of the high damage risk with rare medkits, and the enemies end up being more annoying than scary. That being said, there are things I do like here, like for instance this one room here looks pretty tight. What? You want more? Alright, hold on. Okay, the general atmosphere of the mod is fairly decent. It shares the moody tone and colour palette that Dark Corners of the Earth had, which is unsurprising when you consider that both came out in the same year. But that style works well here, and I really like the town segment as a result. I also like that you have pages of writing that inform the world around you, and I definitely admire the tone that the mod goes for. But there's just a lot holding it back that I wish was so much better. I think one of the most ridiculous elements of this mod arrives with this church right here. Let me tell you what goes down. So I kill some cultists in a badly designed maze and happen across a church with a graveyard surrounding it. And that's pretty interesting, but wait, what's that in the sky? A gargoyle? Wow, a new enemy that isn't a reskin of a Half-Life monster? Let's check it out. Wow. Now that is something. So, you took the G-Man, gave him red eyes, horns and wings, and then made him fly unmenacingly at the player while wiggling his arms. Unbeatable. Oh, there he goes. I can't imagine this is right. You know what? I take back what I said earlier. Please don't ever try to be original again. This church also contains one of the most egregious difficulty spikes in this mod. Without any ammo, there is no way to take them on, and for some reason these guards up here refuse to drop their guns. So, rest in peace me. But the thing is, I can solve this. I have a really good strategy for getting around this one little area. You saw nothing. From here, you dig up a grave in a needlessly awkward cutscene and enter a place with, you know, I'm not sure what these are, but I'm fairly certain I've seen them before, like they're ripped out of something else. I'm sure someone else will enlighten me and say, oh, it's from this game, you dummy. But whatever, they're kinda creepy, but I've about given up on this mod by this point. Sorry. They also put in a barnacle based on the HL2 model, and that's a big no-no from me. Sorry again. Cthulhu isn't a great mod. I can see the effort, but there's just too much wrong with the gameplay for it to be any fun at all. It's badly balanced, the level design is dodgy, and it's just not scary beyond the first few minutes. The payoff just isn't worth it here. If you want an actual reason to play, then I recommend just looking at the G-men flying around, because I've never seen something so graceful in my life. I'm gonna go in for another look.